I tried, when I did it before, I tried to put
numbers or things.
Oh, I put notes on all of them.
You said that because
It went down a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
and labor participation is going up somewhat, alright.
Yeah, I couldn't. I tried to list positives and negatives for each one.
Yeah. Boy.
Amy, have you seen Raj this morning?
I think he quit overnight.
He may have. I wouldn't. Guess I'd be surprised or blame him. Yeah.
There's something about kicking something when he closed the door. I don't know.
Yeah. I cannot. What's that?
And the answer is a lot.
What's that?
Curious how much that,
Camera. We had a discussion about it when we first got here, and it was sitting there, and it didn't really work, but now it works. We fixed it. It used to have some kind of neutral line running down the middle of it.
I think it transports you too. I'm probably gonna knock it off here one of these days, and then it'll transport me.
But it listens and, turns on the camera that's facing the person talking.
Oh, Lord. I hope it hasn't.
Well, no, it's being used to pick up the audio for the stream, which it also does very well. It's not being used for the video.
It doesn't catch like eye rolling or anything like that. In general.
I think in our other meeting room downstairs, Raj had tried it even, because this is the video portion up here, and around here it was like a panorama of the entire room.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, I guess, was it?
We had one where he was doing like split screen
Maybe that's
one
yeah.
time. No, that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I need some more of those forms.
Yes, sir. I've got some extra ones back here. I thought you all may, because I think I gave you, some of you all just enough, and you all may not have gotten that was sitting in there.
Hi, Kim. Hi, how are you this morning?
How are you this morning?
Good.
You have a certain number you need. You want?
I need enough for today.
Enough for today.
Exactly enough for yesterday.
All right. I bet I did not get you your.
I think there's 19 or 20.
So cold. I probably,
19 or 20, I think.
Got 20 today.
we have 20?
No, you all are past the halfway point on interviews, but I believe if you throw in site visits into that total, maybe there's, I guess, what, 10 of those that. Good morning, Anna.
How are you? Good.
Yeah, there's 13. There's 13 interviews and then your site visit.
We have a little business meeting this morning.
Agenda there.
Don't worry, I think there's, it should be on the back side of you and Justin doing it.
Between here and the secretary's on the chair to,
Vic and Mike.
Alright, so Hades should give you 23 for today, and you've got extra back here if you need any. That's maybe the 13 interviews and 10 site visits. So, does any of, the other, committee members need, these, interview sheets? Are you all doing good on your all supply?
You guys are right here.
I hope I do.
Check, brother.
You got it well stocked.
I am well stocked.
Here. You're gonna stream us? Maybe. Roger's gonna tell you how.
Now, Josh and Hugh, you're out of order.
You
have to. What are you trying to do to me?
They are now. 13 of those, and then the other which sheets would be for our site visits.
Video.
Exactly. The ones you all had gotten the preview of.
So when will we do the video?
You know, I think the talk yesterday was maybe not watching all of them, but maybe discussing. Maybe yes.
I wanted to sit down a lot, actually.
Hour and 45 minutes if you did all of them, wall to wall, and they, was the consensus was maybe just discuss them and somebody had.
I think
I think they like your idea.
Other than that, that's no problem with me.
Yeah,
I know. They're working on it.
Explain.
No doubt.
getting.
How are you today, Crystal?
All right. Well, what do you think? Are we gonna make our, 7 o'clock?
Waiting for that email. Stuff getting in all my.
Get you a Snickers bar, we don't.
I think that's a smart bet. I think, once we get.
Last night I was like, but it'll take pictures, right?
That sounds like an ideal situation to me,
It's a
Chris.
problem.
Awesome,
Yeah, I was like, oh.
You made my
there's just a lot of like middle ground on these, although some of them, we were, Bridget was cheating Heiner's binder last night before he left just to see what was in there, and as far as like the numbering, and I think he has like maybe 3 or 4 projects for other, fours, but I mean, that's just him, but maybe if it sorts itself out that way, then maybe that'll be.
Okay.
From when they started the presentation. Yeah.
Y'all are trying to be the next one.
Bridget, a little bit this way if you want more table space here.
I figure we'll move it all day long anyway. Well, that's a good idea. You tasted it? Not all of them.
I think Elizabeth on his calendar put my work
I need
phone
to
number,
tell
so I'm assuming that if he doesn't pick up the feed, then he'll just call in and then I can.
There you go, it's like an accordion. Slinky.
Oh, so he's talking.
All right, good morning, everybody. All our kind of business session of today's agenda in order. Has the press been notified of the proceedings?
Yes.
If we could, let's go around the room and just state your name for a roll call.
Crystal Smith.
Shad Leto. Hugh Hayden.
Josh Benton.
Nick China.
All right, we have a quorum. The secretary is on his way back from Louisville this morning. He had a speaking engagement, so he will be here a little later. So the thrills of being the vice chair, now in my hand. So we had a couple of, really just one thing that we needed to discuss and really codify this morning, and that's with the application for next round that will be going out. I guess that call for applications will be going out sometime in January, and so there had been some discussion in previous meetings about not having a pre-application to try to streamline the application process a little bit, and just cut down on some of those procedures. So, Andy and the staff have gone back and kind of merged those documents, made sure that there wasn't, duplication and that sort of thing. So what you have in front of you this morning is what we would consider to be the revised application. And so if you want to take that out and just go through it, we can talk through it a little bit, but I think maybe there would need to be some revisions to the letter. I don't know how that, because it references a pre-application, but mostly I think what we're interested here is the pages behind the letter, just to make sure that captures all of the things that we want to see in an application. Andy, if you want to add to this a little bit.
Two things. So what we attempted to do was to create greater specificity in the language for the things we specifically had asked for in scoring, to really delineate those. And another thing we will do is, once the committee approves the application, if they'd like us to, is Isaac is going to take it and put a template together for the responses that makes a specific format for them, for all the applications to be a part of it.
Yeah, which isn't wholly different than the way that many of the applicants did respond, such as, addressing section A, number 1, point A, point B, et cetera. But there were some applicants that seemed to merge their information and make it a lot harder to identify and for the staff and to do all of these. So we're going to kind of give it to them on a silver platter and basically say these are the spots that the information needs to be plugged in.
Section B, number D. Is there another place in the application, or should we add to this adult categories? Like instead of E, make that E or something?
I'll also note that bolded are the elements that were specifically scored as part of the matrix.
Yeah, I did get some feedback that it seemed like there was a question about how the adults would be measured. So I was just saying that, that's definitely a critical component, I think, one we should focus on. But I just want to make sure it's not, misinterpreted, that we do want to have a section or, measure of adult learners. Maybe have a D and an E, just throw another line or add adults to that statement.
When we scored the applications, we pulled that information from what is called section E here. But it doesn't specifically mention adults there either.
No. Yeah, like I said, I got pretty good, pretty direct feedback that it seemed like we missed an adult listing. Unless somebody forcefully put it on there, which hopefully they would, I think we just should be very clear.
I agree with you, because that's a question we've always had to ask.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Section B, and point E in section B, does address, some amount of that.
Maybe combine them. I think I'm just trying to get some clarity on that issue. Because, it specifically calls out junior, senior, secondary partners, and then we have another category below that that's almost redundant in a way. But
Can we just add adults?
I think so.
Seniors and adults.
Yeah, I would just be very clear that we're looking for each of these categories.
Probably should be a separate category, just to make sure they identify it separately, because they'll merge it all together.
One point I'd like to bring up is we talk about local unemployment in a 30-mile radius, but then we look at job openings in a 50-mile radius.
Right,
And with some of these counties so close to each other,
right.
we may end up double counting. So we're getting many proposals
They do,
that all seem to have the same number of jobs because they all live in 50 miles.
Yeah. And
same employers. Right.
Yeah.
And I know, I remember we talked about that at a previous meeting, and we used the 50 miles for job openings because that's the average commute time in Kentucky. And so,
That becomes an hour. If we're saying for training, it should be less than that, but for working, it's...
Could we add a clarification or stipulation that if any of your partners, are assigned to more than one application to that point? So if you have a partner like, you know, like EGC, and we signed one application for one company, and we signed another application, we'd have to stipulate on both of those that we signed another application.
I think 3 counties had Tartar-Gate Company.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that would be, at least helpful to identify who's the applicant. By the
I
way,
agree with you.
you know, your partners are on other applications, and to our committee, this partner has multiple applications in for their application.
let's go back to section B real quick and clarify that. Can we just replicate point D, instead of saying total number of juniors and seniors, just ask the same question except ask it for adults, so we can have it completely,
So I wrote E, which replicated total number of adults included in the project who will successfully receive post-secondary credit credentials, certifications, or apprenticeships.
okay, so just to completely, the same question, just a different, for a different audience. Okay, and then going,
E is specific to secondary partners.
right,
And the statement on E, though, is important, because I think we did get a few that answered, or, you know, had provided the information,
Yeah.
but current and then future.
yeah,
So E
So,
has some
it does.
applicability, but maybe we can streamline E to say, include current enrollment for each category, and then
yeah.
projected for each category.
Good points.
Because we were having to ask that every single time.
Right, I saw, you know, it's just variable, I mean, this is such a, you know, it's a new process, but there were some that had really great information, and then others, like we said, had to ask.
For section A, do we want to include something, you know, one of the questions that we asked, I think to orient the discussion that we did yesterday, was a basic description of, you know, if you're renovating or building a facility, the square footage,
Yeah.
those sorts of,
That's right.
those sorts of basic things.
Yeah.
Which section?
To quantify that.
Section A, which is asking them to provide a executive summary, but that sort of basic information as to what actually the funding is going to go toward, and to provide us some specifics on if it's if it's renovation, if it's building, you know, what's the square footage of the facility to either be newly constructed or renovate, expanded. If the equipment, what is the type of the equipment, and a basic statement of the need, things of that nature. I mean,
Yeah.
That's gonna become very critical today when we start talking about partial funding.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you wanna try to bucketize these.
right.
Well,
Not
that-
all that easy to phase everything.
Bucketize.
That's something you want on the front end
Yeah,
summary.
in the executive summary, general,
So maybe I should make it a 2-page versus 1-page with all of these.
Well, I mean, I would say in the section, I think we could make just a very specific bullet points to say, you know, I mean, it seems like it's a metric that would be a table. I would really hate to have it be narrative.
I agree.
We have to figure it out.
Okay.
In the construction industry, it's a, you know, we use there's a report that they can use for estimating these figures, so they should be able to come up with that.
And in the same vein, I mean, I think that when looking at the summaries that we have now, it's pretty clear that in some cases, it was very difficult to discern the budget.
Right.
And I think that you need to give the applicant a template for the budget. It needs to be probably built in,
Right.
fit into this category, so in a way that there's no way to make a mistake in terms of what they present.
Same thing for, in terms of the match.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of, you need the sources and use of funds. I mean, what?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of applicants did that, but it wasn't, you know, as I looked through the application, it wasn't necessarily consistent across the board.
No.
Right. It's,
Yeah, there was that for the match, it's just the applicant's massage data.
and I think it needs to identify, like I said, the sources and use of funds, because on the match, sometimes, like yesterday, it came up on a couple. So you already own this building, and you're proposing to use this building that you already own as the match.
Right.
Right.
You know, you scratch your head.
Well, I don't know, do we already specifically state and exclude that what is not allowed, was not counted for a match is operational staffing fees?
Yeah, I thought, I was a little more specific here, I think.
Which section are you,
Oh, we're just discussing this, we're going to section A.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, once we address this, maybe review what we would like to see in here, and then we need to make a decision, because we've got our first group coming in here in 8 minutes.
Here,
I could suggest if we want, we could work on these revisions and call an executive committee,
Yeah,
maybe to review it.
sure.
What I would like to ask though, if there's someone that would have the expertise to help us on how that budget template should look. Might have more of a financial background, I don't know if somebody has that on the,
We can,
we've got lots of English majors.
we can, we can provide that, because we have templates.
Okay, then we'll talk with you about that, okay, great.
I think in one revision that was lost in this, section D, I was gonna put an italicized, restatement of eligible match funding.
and ownership,
Ownership is specified,
In H.
okay, just making sure.
but similar to where it's specified in H, statement that eligible items include and do not include.
So let's briefly go back through this in section A. We're going to add new information, requesting information on budget, just a high-level summary, in a table form of the budget, and a general overview of the project.
And I would say, I don't know if you want to footnote it in there or not, but you might want to consider pointing out that that table is the budget.
Yep.
That if there's any discrepancy, that will be the budget.
Right.
And that's it.
And may I ask one question here? Is it possible in this budget analysis to include something that indicates whether or not the money is going for enhancement of existing programs or expansion to new programs?
In the pre-application, we did specify that, and that can be reflected in the budget.
Well, no, I think that's a slightly different question of, are you putting better equipment to enhance the training that's being given?
Or is it a whole new program?
Or,
Yeah, and to me, that was I learned about myself that was important to me. Because it's kind of indicated, that they were wanting to address new stuff that's happening in the market, as opposed to, we have this old table saw, we want a new table saw.
Right.
So to me, it was kind of an important metric to be able to just quickly glance at.
Sure.
Good point.
I agree.
And then section B, the pulling out and having a separate statement to identify adults. And then
Section C would be the stipulation for multiple applicants,
correct.
applications. If any of the parties are doing it.
All right. And was there anything, I don't believe, section D. This is section D, we're looking more of a budget narrative, correct? We're asking for the table on the front end. Section D is more of a describing the budget.
it breaks out both the kind of schedule as well as really specifically the items that are going to be expended as well as the items that are claimed in the match.
Anything in section E? we discussed. I didn't have any notes here. And,
I'd just like to bring in first interviews in 4 minutes.
yep.
No pressure.
All right, so then the recommendation will be to have the executive committee
Review that.
find language. Do we need any type of voting action on that, or just,
It never hurts.
Sure.
Should the rest of the committee, make notations and be able to provide those?
Well, we could call a committee if you want, like have a little subcommittee that actually works on the application itself. But if we've talked about it enough here today, I think you all could approve what we
Yeah.
mean. But having stuff going back and forth between meetings doesn't work.
If we could have a motion to
I'll make a motion.
recommend to the executive committee to review these changes and identify language. So the motion was by Kathy, the second.
Aye.
Opposed, passed unanimously. The other item on here was discussion about fees. We decided at this point to not have that discussion just yet on application.
No. Just, we're trying to work out how that works within the budgeting process and things. And so we need to get more details on that before we move forward on it.
Do we need to have a decision on Isaac creating templates, or is that just
No.
procedural? The other piece, I guess, would be, last meeting we decided on when applications would be due, the next round. Do we remember those timelines?
What you all had said at the previous meeting was February the 2nd being the due date. And then I think with the committee meeting, February 22nd or 23rd, I believe.
Okay. So we will be a call for applications first week of January, I would. Is that correct?
Yes.
Means there will be an executive committee meeting the first week of January.
Or between Christmas and
Christmas Eve.
All right. Well, then we'll move on.
Yeah, the only item that we did not have on our agenda, and it was an oversight, was approval of the last meeting's minutes. So we can do that at the next meeting, but if you all could look at those before, we'll get those approved formally.
We have Jefferson County,
Big one.
Do you wanna take the?
See y'all in 20 minutes.
Where'd I just hit, the red? Is that all I did?
And then just hit this twice, and I just make sure that the little numbers.
Right. And so
They have no reason why it
just smart on this, so like when I'm ready to go, I'll just hit red.
Yeah,
And then, when I'm ready to stop it, I'll hit that
yeah, hit it twice.
twice.
That's what I do.
To make it stop. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, holler if you need anything on the,
Okay, thank you.
part-time job up front.
You're without you.
Now you gotta put numbers in.
Round two, good, how are you?
All right, committee, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lancaster, CEO of Lantec. He's been briefed on the process, and the floor is yours.
Morning.
Morning.
Let's start with some introductions and why we are here.
I'm Christy Rogers from Jefferson County Public Schools, and we are trying to blur the line between high school and post-secondary transition. We've got too many students leaving our schools unprepared with no direction. So our new career academies and JCPS will align with this building, this process, JCTC, and post-secondary partners. We're going to fill the workforce pipeline in the Louisville area and surrounding areas.
Hi, my name is Kent Suiters. I work for GE Appliances and Manufacturing. I'm also president of the Greater Louisville chapter of KY Fame. And I can tell you every day as a manufacturer, we struggle to fill jobs in our workforce, and this building and proposal will be a huge step in filling that pipeline for us and getting the right skills in the employee base for us to choose from.
I'm Butch Newhouse from Ford Motor Company. Similar to Ken from GE, we struggle to find folks in manufacturing or want a career in manufacturing. We view this as a pipeline for us.
I'm Bob Hook with Bob Hook Chevrolet. I also represent the Louisville Auto Dealers Association. We have a program with JCTC now to train technicians. Our problem is we're at capacity. We need more classrooms, and we're not coming close to filling the demand for technician jobs in our market. So if this becomes a reality, we'll be able to renovate and expand.
And I'm Ty Handy. I'm the president of Jefferson Community and Technical College, we're really tagging along on this project because it started before I arrived. I've been here 1 year. They've been working on this for a couple of years now because of the demand for the workforce in the Louisville marketplace is causing jobs to be shifted elsewhere. And we know that the college is the solution, and we've got to step up and partner with these businesses because these are jobs that are available right now that are going in.
We have two huge problems in our community around Louisville. The first is that we have 40% of our graduates from JCPS, they're graduating from high school, they're not college or career ready. That doesn't seem right to me. 40%. That's 40% of 6,400 kids this year that will graduate without a next step. The second big problem we have in the largest employment area of the state, where we have the most number of manufacturing establishments and the most number of IT jobs, is we can't find the people we need to fill our jobs. My business can't grow. I can't hire more engineers, salespeople, finance people if I don't have the people to help build machines on my manufacturing floor. My friend Chip Blankenship at GE has said he will not bring more production lines to Louisville because he can't find the people to build the washing machines and refrigerators he's already building in Louisville. We have to do something about this problem. If you were going to solve a problem like this, what would you do? You would pull together the top educators in the community. You would pull together the top business people in the community. You would pull together the nonprofits, the GLIs, the Kentucky Workforce Board folks, and you would put a plan together. That is exactly what we have done. In my career in Louisville, my family's been in Louisville for generations. I have never seen the community come together with educators, business people, and the government for a program like this. The mayor's office is behind this. The Metro Council is behind this with money. The major employers are behind this. We have a great leader at JCTC. We can make this happen. We just need your support. Tremendous amount of data in the proposal we gave you. I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to let you all ask questions.
Thank you for the introduction. I think we have reviewed the application and now open things up for questions. First of all, Secretary Heiner had to be in Louisville this morning and is on his way here. He may be listening in as we speak, but he did want your group to know that. I guess just a few questions about facilities. If you could identify and explain to us what the current situation is with facilities, program capacity, and why this project is necessary.
Do that, Ty? You want to try?
Sure.
And I'll fill in.
So our current situation is that most of these programs are currently housed in the old vocational technical institution that's located in the city center on 8th and Chestnut, downtown area. Older building, not well renovated space, capacity issues, as they were speaking about here. We're dealing with tens of graduates when what we need are hundreds of graduates in these programs. And so while this this project does relocate those programs, what it really tries to do is bring them up to a much more sufficient scale, because we simply do not have enough students. We have about 900 students currently enrolled in the 5 or 6 key programs that we're focused on here. Almost half of those are in one particular program, information technology, and the rest are spread. And the demand are, in advanced manufacturing, there's over 1,000 openings today in the Louisville market. For those, there's over 1,000 openings in IT. Automotive technology has dozens of openings, and we're just simply not capable of graduating enough students. So we do have a major capacity issue.
One of the most important things about this project, though, is above and beyond capacity. The current facility is in a nondescript building in a place that it can't be seen. We have to get a beacon of industry, of technology, to draw students to these careers. We've got to change the way we look at these technical careers. And the position of where we're going to put this facility, right on I-65 in downtown Louisville, is going to give it visibility from I-65. And it just sends a message to the community. We are in the manufacturing business. We are in the IT business. And we're behind this as a community. It's not an also-ran thing in the back of a building somewhere.
Currently, for these programs that are going to be going into this facility, how many of the JCTC campuses, are currently being used for those, and, how's that going to free up space and capacity and usage for increased enrollment?
Well, the principal freeing up of space is at this facility that I just spoke about, and part of the plan is to renovate some of that space for our automotive technology program expansion. So we're at capacity there, and we're not able to meet the demand from the dealerships in that area. So that's part of the backfilling that we're doing. Now, our other sites in Shelby and Bullitt County and out in Carrollton, they run some of these similar programs at a much smaller scale, but we're looking at and working with those school systems for how we can filter those students into the project. So it won't just be a Jefferson-centric project, but that will be 75% of our student body. We know that if we're going to build the pipeline, we have to push probably a fourth of these college courses into the high schools. They need to come out of the high schools with a proper certification and probably a fourth of the 2-year degree, 15 to 20 credit hours under their belt. So we've got to build this relationship in the career academies and push them into those, push those students into that pipeline, because quite frankly, the employers are the key to being able to build whether or not we're going to get these students to enroll. We've been trying for years to get the students to enroll. The problem is they need to understand what's available for them better.
Kathy, go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I'm hoping that one of you could address what the barriers are that are currently existing, because to me, frankly, a little surprising that, an area with this much potential and population. We've talked to a lot of groups from a lot of areas who are, frankly, much beyond where you apparently are in terms of addressing this market need. So why is that? What's going on in the area that?
From a college perspective, the first thing I'd say is we're the only region, 560 manufacturing firms in Jefferson County, and we're the only region in the state that doesn't have an advanced manufacturing center. So as the state has distributed its assets and invested its resources, for some reason, whatever that is, Jefferson has not made, been successful in securing the things that we need. And it's as much an equipment and a facility deprivation situation as it is anything else.
The community has not come together in the past to make this happen.
Who's leading that charge now? You're leading the charge here.
Absolutely. Yes. KY Fame is a big chunk of that. Jim mentioned Chip Blankenship, our CEO. He's very much engaged in this, helping to drive.
There was an initiative that GE started 2 years ago that started this initiative. They got Kentuckiana Fame going, which then got our employers all together, that then created the momentum that's making this happen. Now we know each other. Now we're pushing to make it happen.
So this is good. The one reason why I ask is that, we have X number of dollars. In this phase, we have $65 million, and you all are requesting 28. So, and we're dealing with the entire state and a lot of fantastic applications. So I'm just wondering, do you not have any other resources to bring to bear onto this? Clearly Jefferson, that whole area is important.
Maybe talk through the finances and the match that's up
Yeah.
up to this point, to help us understand where that's the funding streams.
Right, because it's a $33 million project, not a $28 million project.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that, Ty, or?
So, I think, in the document, you'll see that we have a matching proposal in the neighborhood of about 23 to 24%, I believe. We tried to be conservative in that in terms of not overselling what we could do. The college has gone out and acquired property in the area, in the space that we need, so that's in place. Local foundations have, they haven't acted yet because there's nothing to act on at this point, but they've let us know they're gonna be highly supportive. So we're looking at fundraising in the $2 to $3 million range, from foundations. Our employers are promising to step up and be engaged, not just supportive, but engaged in the project. And then finally, the city of Louisville has stepped forward, and they've come forward with a very aggressive plan to help support us in terms of operationally over the first 10 years of the project, so that we have some reward for success coming from the city. And so they've promised up to $1 million in operational support as we hit our targets moving forward. So there is a substantial philanthropic private commitment to the facility. It's not a $28 million facility, it's a $33 million.
Employers are also very engaged in the employment side of the experience. Sure. These kind of roles are not just about going to school. You have to be able to get the experience, and that takes a significant investment. All of us standing up here already have programs with JCTC. We have them with JCPS as well, bringing these kids in so that they're getting experience in learning and getting excited about these career pathways.
And then,
Two questions. You talked one about location. Tell me more specifically on I-65 where it will be located. And then second question is, I noticed on the application form here, it references the University of Louisville. Tell me where and what role U of L is playing, and specifically any integration with the engineering program at U of L.
Two parts. First of all, the building's going on Broadway, right by First Street there. If you know where the new Thornton's is, right there, it's going basically right behind Thornton's. And that's a perfect spot to get to from the eastern part of the county, from the west side of the city, from the south, from Indiana, which is where our students are going to be coming from. So it's a perfect spot, and it's visible. In terms of U of L, you wanna.
Sure. So I've had several meetings with U of L leadership about this. Of course, they had a project proposal as well, and they were looking for synergistic opportunities with us. But primarily what they want to do is they recognize, just as you said in your introductory comments, that the technician problem of finding engineering techs is limiting hiring at the higher levels, because you're not generating the production you need to support all the other fields that are out there. So they've said that they want to be committed to working with internships, externships, experiential learning opportunities for our students, and then also building a new sort of situation where we build a pathway for these students who do decide that they wish to move into engineering fields. And that's actually already started. We've had a student or two make that transition and starting to do that. And then finally they do some incubator entrepreneurial sort of seeding sort of work, and they're looking for how they might be able to use this facility as well to help bring that along as well.
Chad? So the advanced manufacturing is a huge component, IT as well. We've seen in other parts of the state where they've done high-profile projects and haven't filled them with students. I'd really like to understand, and we've heard the other proposal yesterday about, the creative, the way of getting students engaged. But how are you going to fill the building? Because you have a huge gap, even if you don't have space to put them. And that's usually what we see elsewhere in the state, is not bringing students in.
JCPS is under a new initiative for career academies modeled after the Nashville Academy model, wall to wall. Every student going into career and technical programs in manufacturing, IT, healthcare, all sectors. We have 12 schools from one end of the city to the other side. They grant application through JCPS, and they will pipeline. These students will declare their career academy. We're working literally daily with JCTC to align early college credit. This is going to affect about 14,000 students in JCPS right now of the 12 schools that are going to reorganize how they do business, put all students into career and technical college academies, and they will pipeline. We're going from 15 current small manufacturing to as many as 30 programs. We think we can turn out about 1,500 students by 2021 that will graduate with an industry cert and college credit and pipeline right to the post-secondary grant in IT and manufacturing, building trades, and engineering. Just that sector.
And the other thing I want to say is the manufacturers are in this. We're fully in. We're helping develop tools to help describe to kids what track you're on, how to get there, what's the combination of what you need from JCPS, what you need in work experience, and how does that drive a career path. And in these areas where we don't get we're not going to get the student flow if we're not all in as a community. But we're already doing this. The manufacturers and the IT folks in Louisville are already connected in, already building this. We're not waiting. So it's happening.
So you mentioned students, more traditional students coming out of high schools. How would the facility be used to train adults, incumbent workers, and that sort of thing?
Sure, probably the biggest potential group for us, and we're the only college, I believe, in the state that's working with this group at this point, are SNAP recipients. Changes that are going on in that area. In Jefferson County alone, we have over 10,000 eligible people who need to be looking at educational opportunities to get them off those programs. So we're starting to ramp that up. We are the largest provider in the AOKY program, the Accelerated Opportunity Program for GED students, and so we're aggressively pursuing those students as well and trying to give them the college experience while they're earning their GED, not waiting for them to complete that. And so also, English as a second language has become a very important part of our curriculum. We're adding a vocational piece to that, and we have an immigrant population that's hungry. Those students succeed at significantly higher rates than traditional students. I think they come here and they know what they have to do to succeed, and so we're working closely with those groups as well. The Urban League, Greater Louisville Inc., Kentuckiana Works, and others are resources for these adult students, and we intend to use the facility, not just 9 to 5.
UPS is very excited about this initiative because as part of their Metro College, they're obviously trying to get folks to work in as package handlers by expanding the capacity to give these kids or these adults a technical track that a lot of them want to be on. They feel like they can attract a whole lot more people in. We're also looking at housing opportunities around the college so we can bring folks in from out of the state as well.
And it's not just looking at housing opportunities. We've actually created a partnership where housing opportunities are being provided. So within 12 months, there'll be over 300 beds available right downtown in the region. UPS is helping to work with that as well, so that we'll have a location for students from all over who wish to come in.
If they weren't throwing boxes, they'd be here today.
So evening classes is a huge component?
Absolutely.
Can you describe FAME? We've seen that work through other parts of the state, and what commitment do you have to that, and what is your experience with that?
Well, so right now we have 14 member companies in FAME. It's probably going to grow to 22 to 25 for the next upcoming class. We have 38 students currently in there. We really, almost 60 students. We have 38 basically going into their second year, starting through the program. It's awesome. We don't have enough capacity. Really, we would like to really run 4 cohorts at a time instead of 2. Because there's that kind of demand, and when you look at the number of applications we have coming in right now for next fall, we're going to have to make some cuts for kids that do qualify, right? I mean, so that's going to be a problem. The other thing is we have tool and die companies who are very interested in using this program and creating their own off the AMT model. So there's another place where we're going to need capacity in that arena.
Yeah, did you, if I missed it, I'm sorry. How big is the building?
So it's 60,000 square feet.
60,000? Okay, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about our timeline and resources. Kathy alluded to it earlier. We have a lot of requests. This is the biggest request. What is the timeline? And we've asked every applicant this, because we are going to have to look at potentially partial funding on projects. So what is the timeline, best case scenario, and if there was a partial funding award, how does that affect the timeline or your fundraising processes and things like that?
So we have the property already in place. We've got the relationships in place, so we're as close to shovel ready as we can be without actually going through the permitting process. So we're in good shape there. So we're looking at probably 2 falls from now. Being able to open, but that won't stop us. We'll start ramping up and doing the work we can in the meantime. The second part of your question was?
If partial funding, how does that affect the timeline?
We have that with the designer, so we get a good sense of that. We've been told that about a $3 million reduction in the overall project size and scope will result in about a 17% footprint decrease. It'll cost us about 5 classrooms. It'll lower the average lab size from 6,000 to 5,000 square feet. So in effect, there's a direct relationship between the size of the facility and the capacity that we're going to have. And then a $5 million adjustment would result in a 25% footprint decrease in the size of the facility.
I think the thing to keep in mind is, in the numbers you see in our proposal, we have a tremendous number of students. We have a tremendous number of jobs waiting for these students. So if we reduce the capacity by 25% of square footage and the number of students by 25%, that's just ROI for the state not being met.
I apologize, but your time is up. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep, that's exciting. Yeah.
Take your car.
And land it right on top of it.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
She didn't have that car for a week.
Oh, my
Landed
gosh.
right on top of that. So then, just recently, another man backed up, went over, hit an ambulance bumper, so he was really kind of lucky, and then, little Michael, the paramedic that's from Urban, he had his leg out, he almost got his leg amputated from that. Again, no guardrail, and Wallace came to my rescue, like he does for the hospital, because our county property, and he's, can fix that and help us, put up the guardrail. So now cars can't go flying over the house.
Good morning. Morning.
Hey, man.
Hello.
Going out for superintendent. Good. Can't complain. Good looking crew. We brought a few people. Yeah.
Hey, good to see you, Mike. Good to see you. Morning.
Very good, Wallace.
Well, how you doing? Had Dad go with us. Nice looking place.
Morning. Teresa Dollar, Vista County Schools.
Oh, nice to meet you. Bobby Sarver in the chair of the school. Oh, nice to meet you. My wife served 12 years as chair. And I'm going to go all the time. She left, she said,
Glad to be here. Great.
I hope.
That was a thing from yesterday, I thought.
Josh Benton. Good to see you, Judge. Josh Benton with Economic Development.
I know, I heard you, I agree with you 100%.
Morning. Hugh Hayden, nice to see you, Judge. You too. Appreciate the work you're putting on this.
These are.
That's good. Nice to meet you. We appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, you making that right
Yeah, well, we're the best we can.
I understand.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, doing good, thank you.
So we don't have to search for it.
All right, good morning. We'd like to welcome the Estill County Board of Education, Estill County Fiscal Court, applicant number 104. We have 5 minutes for presentation. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Hopefully I can, make it through these couple minutes just to, try to present our case to you today. First of all, thanks to the committee and Secretary Heiner for allowing us to be here this morning. I think throughout this process, what we've tried to do is try to honor what the grant originally proposed, was that to establish partnerships and then to be able to look at programs that could make a difference in our community, and not just our community, but throughout our region and the state. So I just want to mention today that I'm very proud to have a group of people with me today that are members of our local community, and to show you the partnerships that we believe that we can establish in this process. First of all, our elected officials. We've got Senator Robinson with us here today. And, he's here to, show that we have support, from the state legislature, and from him specifically, in terms of not only support, he will tell you this is his number one priority in his district, is a career and technical facility for Estill County Schools. And we have a commitment from him that in the legislative session in 18 to fund operational staff, for that school as well, if we're fortunate enough to receive funding. Also, I'd like to thank Judge Wallace Taylor, who's sitting beside me today. He is our joint applicant on this project, and I appreciate him being here. But we have other local community people with us. We have industry with us today. We have, and we even have partnerships established with Moorhead Eastern and Blue Technical. And we've also talked to other local school districts as well that's interested in some of the programs that we propose. If you've looked at our grant, the second thing I want to talk about is the programs, those programs that are in priority sectors. And, you know, we're talking about a new facility here that would offer programs within each one of those areas that was identified in the grant process. But we also propose that we would like to see a STEM initiative within that as well, and specifically with Project Lead the Way. I came from a school district that had Project Lead the Way as one of the components, and I think it is a very important program for our students. It's not just for those students that are going on into engineering careers, but there's a lot of fields outside of, within the engineering community, but not necessarily engineers, that those students, it's for a wide range of students, and we believe that is a program that we can gain a lot of support with other local districts as well. And as far as interest levels, I just want to direct you to the fact that in the last group of questions that you all asked for, there's definitely interest among our students. There was a survey done with middle school students, and there's a lot of interest in these programs. And then also, what is the need? That was the other part of the last group of questions that you had. The need is that within these high priority sector jobs, there's over 18,000 jobs within a 50-mile radius of Estill County that's available right now if there was a skilled and trained workforce. That's a lot of opportunity, not only for our people, but for the people in the surrounding counties with us. So with that being said, what's the missing piece? What's wrong here? We have partnerships, we have community support, we have a plan in terms of programs. Our need is that we need a facility. And you can see this map here, the map you all are familiar with, that we must have a facility in order to be able to offer these programs. Estill County is a proud community. It is a good community, and people want to be able to be involved in this process. And we have that need. We have the need for our students. We have students right now that can't access these programs. We have adults that can't access these programs. We have colleges that want to be able to offer programs within our school system. So we're asking that you consider this grant application. The people of Estill County support this grant application, and we appreciate your time here this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the presentation. Chief Secretary Heiner is not with us at the moment. He is wanted us to let the groups know that he is on his way back. He had an engagement this morning that prevented him from being here. This obviously is a new facility that you are proposing. I noticed in the packet that you have a proposed site, greenfield site, and then an alternative site. If you could kind of describe what the facility, in terms of square footage, offerings, that sort of thing, what the best case scenario would be, and then also describe it with the alternate site. You know, what your distinct thought process is between the greenfield and the existing facility.
Okay. The new facility, of course, would be a facility that would house each of those programs. It will also house our adult education program, because we feel that that's important that program is there, especially if we're training adults, within that building. Within our original grant application, we had a sample, blueprint of what that building would look like. I know that the site that we propose is about a 10-acre site, which we feel is, plenty big enough to, host that facility.
Who owns that site right now?
It's part of the CSX Railroad property there in, Irvin and Ravenna. And that, as I said, the blueprint or a possible layout of that building, being a new facility, it's a little hard to say, okay, what's that building going to look like? Because until we actually have funding, we can't hire an architect to design that building. But we also looked at our current architect, Ross Tarn Architects, also built the facility in Winchester in Clark County. So it would be modeled sort of after that facility, I would assume, as we've talked in that. The alternate site is the old Irvin High School site, and that building is has a lot of historical significance to our community. It's built in 1930s, and it's a building that's important to our community. That building, we believe, could house the IT, the business, the STEM initiatives that's in that, and there is room at that property that we could build the labs for automotive, advanced manufacturing, and for transportation would be the third. And we have had architects look at that building, and they do believe that that building would suffice. And it is, the good part about that is that we already own that property. That's an existing facility.
If I may add to that, with the property we've selected, when I talked to Secretary Heiner several months ago, we had, it wanted to be highly visible to the public. The new location is virtually right downtown. The infrastructure is within a few hundred feet of building this new structure. And both of them are highly visible. But this is a particular building that we could build on these 10 acres and maybe not build the 50,000 square foot that we initially talked about, to get a new structure.
Has there already been conversations with CSX about purchasing property, and what would be the cost differential? I know this building, the alternative site, is an older building, so I'm sure there would be significant renovations that have to take place, but what's the cost differential between the two sites?
Our architects have estimated by us owning the property and using that building that it could reduce cost by about $2.5, maybe to $3 million.
But the county can come in and do all the excavation and the preparation to reduce some of that cost, and I don't feel like the property's going to cost us virtually nothing, is what I'm being told.
Okay. So, where do your current students go? So, secondary students go for that training, and do they get dual credit? And then where do your adults go for training?
They go, our current students, they go to Madison Central. It's Madison Career and Tech, which is right beside Madison Central High School. Our students are on the bus an hour and a half a day. So by the time they load the bus and get there, unload the bus, and get back, they're losing approximately 2 hours of instruction every day. And it is a barrier for those kids. They really have to want to go. You know, kids don't want to leave their home site. They don't want to spend 2 hours on a bus. So we send approximately 20 students each trimester to the Career and Tech Center there at Madison. And I can give you an example, too, that we have been fortunate that they did allow us to have a health sciences program within our building. We have more people in that program than we would send to that school during a year's time. So there's high interest level if we can get it close enough to our kids for them to have that.
How many are in your health sciences right now?
There's approximately 100 kids
that are registered at this time to take it.
Do they get dual credit at Madison or with your health science program now? And have you made arrangements for that in the future if not?
They can get dual credit. I know that they you know, through through their programs, they can do that.
And what about adult training?
Adult training is something that we really don't have in Estill County. We don't have that facility. I mean, so our adults, if they do want to train, we do have an adult education program, of course, but it's for GED related services. But if there is some type of training they would need, they're going to have to either travel to Madison or Winchester in order to get that.
Christelle?
What I was, about to ask was about the adult training and also the students. Should you build this building, the programming that goes along with it is geared towards both students and adults. Have you thought about what that plan would be for training those students? One, how many would it be? And two, what would be the sustainability of bringing those adults and those students into the program?
Well, I really don't worry about sustainability when it comes to secondary students because they are going to want to access those programs. We have a survey that shows through our middle school students that they are very interested in programs within all 6 of those areas that we proposed as part of our plan. So I really don't worry about sustainability on the secondary front. When it comes to adults, I know that if you know Estill County, the people of Estill County, they're hardworking people. They want to be able to support themselves. And we're like most eastern Kentucky counties, you know, that there's not a lot of opportunities there. If you look at the different industry that's left our area. So, you know, we have a lot of people that need to be retrained. We have a lot of people that are seeking just initial training in some of these areas. So I believe if a facility is there, we believe that there is definitely a need, and there's a need in some surrounding counties with us. I know that, for instance, Lee County just started adult training after school hours, and they had a huge need there. So they're a neighboring county, but it's still a pretty good drive to get there for our people. So we have the ability to offer that, and I believe that it's a much needed component of this program, and we will keep that facility open in order to do that.
How many students do you think that this program would serve? Whether the juniors and seniors or the adults, how many do you suppose it would probably serve?
Well, based on how we could schedule in terms of, if you talk about just juniors and seniors, I mean,
All of the students that you would serve in a year?
Yeah. I believe that we could serve, just in terms of students, somewhere between 300 to 400 students in a year's time, because we would set up the schedule. Not only, you know, traditional career and tech school, you know, they'll go there and they'll stay 3 hours during the day, or they may stay 4 hours during the day. But because of the proximity of both of these sites, we'll have freshmen and sophomore students as well that can access this program maybe for an hour or 2 hours during the day. So it allow them, and because of the time travel being cut down, they'll be able to still take their classes that they would normally take at the high school, but still be able to access that building for shorter periods of time.
Mike?
I may add to mention to this, that I have people that come in my office excited about this opportunity. Well, I'll be able to, citizens in our community that, well, can I take the welding class, the plumbing classes? I want to do my career better. And I'm a very big advocate of trying to help people with substance abuse, to retrain that group of people, to give them hope. Back in, it's been about 10 years ago, I guess, I was in an ARC meeting up in Ashland. And they said one thing that's going to affect eastern Kentucky in the next few years is we're not going to have a trained workforce. I've got people wanting to work, but they don't have the training. And that's what we're wanting to do, to make them a candidate to get out here and work.
A couple more questions here, Mike. Go ahead.
In looking at your all's request, it looks like, the amount that you're requesting is $9,750,000, is that correct?
Yes.
And I heard that could change somewhat based upon the site that you decide to get and whether you have to pay for it or not and that type of thing. Is there any additional bond capacity with your school board at this time? I know Estill County, like a lot of Eastern Kentucky counties, is having a tough time financially, but is there additional capacity that you would have? Because your request is one of our higher requests, and we appreciate the legislature giving us $100 million to do, but we could have used $500 million.
Yeah. Right. Well, with that being said, I did have our bonding potential looked at here this week, so I would know what the number is at the time that we proposed this. I know that our part in this is about $1.5 million, almost $2 million is what we had proposed. Our bonding potential is closer to $3 million. As you know, Mike, you've been around school systems a lot. You get real antsy if you try to tap out every bit of bonding potential that you have, because what happens if you have some type of emergency, a roof or something comes along. But, we felt comfortable that we could, bond maybe around $2 million. I know the physical court, if we go with the new site, they can do a lot of the grade work, the infrastructure work in terms of utilities and that type of work. They feel like their in-kind contribution and maybe even some funds could be around $1 million. That's pretty much the limit of where we're at. That's our bonding potential, and that's pretty much where we're at.
That makes it real clear. I appreciate that.
Just to follow up on that for a second, I saw in the proposal, I think that your all's match is about $1.35 million. Is the source of that bonding, or is that coming from another source?
It's from our bonding potential, is where it's coming from.
So are you stating that you could possibly increase that from the 1.350 to the 2 million of bonding potential?
Yeah, well, our board chair is with us, and I believe that we would be more than willing to go to $2 million. That would still leave us about $1 million in case there was some emergency or something along that line. So yes, I believe I could speak on behalf of the board that they would.
And I feel comfortable the county would be $1 million.
And I need to address one thing real quick, and it's your question. Besides board chair, I am also a certified drug and alcohol counselor, been former chair. What Wallace was alluding to and saying is the jobs for recovery are just as important as the treatment that goes with it. Me getting people sober and not having a job doesn't help. So with this facility for adult training is very important for Estill County. I just wanted to put that out.
First off, I commend you for that, because I think that's critical, that oftentimes gets overlooked, and it's a critical thing. So the school board will operate the facility. My question is really about curriculum, what you've looked at teaching and how you would teach it, and then what's your relationship, what you put together with Moorhead and EKU and BGTC, what role would they play and how would they integrate with your program?
We've got about under a minute.
It's all about dual credit programs, that they would offer dual credit programs, and a lot of that, of course, would be through Bluegrass because of the type of programs, but Moorhead and Eastern is also willing in whatever areas they can, and we'll be choosing program areas that, in terms of career majors, that they would support in that. And also, we would be looking towards Bluegrass and them for adult training, and also even offering post-secondary courses to other students, graduated students as well, to keep them from traveling out of county for college classes.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.